Syngenta Flowers Summer Trials Review, where we're going to recap the best of the summer's industry trial gardens. My name is Allison Carlson, the Technical Trial Manager for Syngenta Flowers.
It's great to be with you, Allison. I'm Jamie Gibson, Technical Lead for Syngenta Flowers.
All right, so we've got a thrilling webinar for you today. Here's an overview of our agenda. So we've got 60 total minutes, and we're going to leave some time at the end to hear your questions so we can provide some answers. So we're going to go through, these are some of our trial sites. We're going to give you a sneak peek at our Syngenta Flowers Trials website, where you can see all of this information outside of this webinar. Then we're going to go through our top vegetative varieties from our summer trials. So lots of geraniums, petunias, Scaevola, and then we're going to hit our top seed varieties. So bowler, endurance, and sparkler.
Yes, and when you look at the map of where these trial sites are, whether it's a university or a grower site or a third-party site, these areas are where flowers are being produced on massive scale. And the Syngenta Flowers commercial team, whether they're product managers, or sales reps, or technical people, we are where these trials are. And we visit these trials very routinely, once, twice, sometimes 3 times during the season, to take data, to get feedback, to bring it back to the Syngenta chalkboard, and we share information. And so these trial sites are so critical to our learnings and how we move forward with our crops.
Yeah, great tech team, great sales team, product management, really teamwork, pulling it all together to get these field trials assessed. And to create content for our trials website. So, like I said, we have a lot to go through today. We're going to cover a lot of content. We have a lot of pictures. But on our website, you can take a digital tour and you can see all of this. So if there's a variety that you want to revisit or a particular trial site that you're really interested in, definitely check out this website. It's live now and will be live until we update it for next year. So it's always a resource. And actually, there's historical data from 2020 as well. All right, so we're going to get right into this. One of the most exciting launches that we have for this year is Spectra, an interspecific New Guinea impatiens. So really, it's great to have an interspecific in New Guineas now. Spectra has large flowers, excellent branching, and then these intense colors, which is why we named it Spectra. It's really early to flower. It's got these nice mounded habits that are super grower friendly and versatile in a bunch of pot sizes, but especially shines in hanging baskets. Great habit for hanging baskets, which we'll see later. I don't know, I think this is going to be really exciting in retail programs with all the flower power it has.
Tremendously exciting. I mean, when we launched at CAST, the crop really looked good. Then we went into cultivate, really looking great. All the summer trial sites, nice, and spoiler alert for the Mance show, we're going to have Spectra. So get ready to see a lot of Spectra in the coming months. Yep. Yeah, and so excited to see how these plants perform. So I revisited the Mass Young Trial Plants Gardens, Brian Weezy's, Rose Oberholzer, Michael DeVerde, they do just a tremendous job up there in Grand Rapids. And the Spectra Bright Red just looked outstanding. And when you go back into spring production with some of the grower crops, the flower power, the coverage, that quick turn interspecific New Guinea of hanging baskets, we want to thank Brian Schaefer of Griffin for providing these photographs just to show you the power of Spectra in these crop profiles.
Yeah, so I mean, not only did Spectra have more flowers in the trials that we did, but they actually had larger flowers, which you can really see in these pictures, just immense color coverage.
When you go to South Florida at season premiere there at Costa Color, the mounded habits, the coverage in those trial beds, in those raised gardens. The Costa Color trialing teams does such an amazing job with season premiere, that first look at the genetics, very nice habits, very uniform habits. And then in California, you know, our team went out in week 33 and it was just stunning, just absolutely stunning. Sun, part sun and shade performing really nicely, Allison.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point with that shade and sun performance. So Spectra really checks all of the boxes for an interspecific New Guinea. And then we've got some more pictures here, you know, showing, you know, we've got all of these different trial sites and, you know, from Michigan State, Colorado State, Young's, Metro, Penn State. And the one thing, you know, that really stands out to me on these slides, Jamie, is that consistent flower power. You know, it's just wherever you go, Spectra's got color for you.
Yeah, sun and shade. So just to give you some data here, Penn State, Spectra as a whole in the garden performance for the season, 4.5 to 4.8 out of 5. Cornell, 4.2 to 4.5 out of 5. Michigan State, 4.2 to 4.8 out of 5. Minnesota, Esther Jordan, thank you so much for your data. That was a 4 out of 5 for the entire season up there. We really do appreciate all the hard work that you do to give us this information.
Yeah, great data, killer photos. And then, you know, here we've got some photos from Penn State, you know, showing the 5 colors that we have in Spectra. So, you know, you got a white, magenta, orange, pink, and bright red. So, you know, great colors for mixing and, you know, just really stand out in the landscape and in containers. The white especially, personally, is one of my favorites. It just really, it is wow. It really stands out. And I have Spectras in my yard that have been going since they were stuck like week 47. So yeah, like of this year, so last year. So they really, they're like Energizer New Guineas.
And it was a real treat to have a tour by Sinclair Adam and Crystal Snyder of Penn State Extension. They do such a wonderful job up there in Mannheim with all of the information, a searchable database to show you all the specific values across time, and great photos. So thank you so much, Penn State.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier some of the trial data that we've done. So a shout out to our technical trialing team, Lauren Kilpatrick, who executed this awesome trial, the side-by-side comparison of Spectra versus a lot of our competitors. We had every competitor in this trial, and she found that Spectra Magenta had 120% more flowers, 7% larger flowers, and finished an entire week earlier than the competition Magenta variety. And you can just see it here in the pictures, the flower size differences and just the color coverage on these. And then overall, across all of the varieties, Spectra consistently had more flowers than other series and produced the best hanging baskets that were just covered in color. The flower power is just tremendous. So really nice work from our trialing team, you know, getting that data for our data-driven marketing claims.
And as someone who goes out into the field and talks to growers about Spectra and why it's different, having this information is so powerful. Just a great talking point. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Now for getting into our geraniums, we've got Moxie, which we have a new color addition this year, Moxie Pink Splash. Amazing, amazing novelty color, fantastic vibrancy in this pink splash. Moxie, you know, when it was launched, was the first and only interspecific geranium, and still is, that was bred for its brilliant color, just like everything else in our assortment, but also small containers. So it's this high efficiency message where it's a compact habit, but still dense and mounded with lots of color. So you can produce a lot of Moxies in a small space. So great for your black pot programs.
Yeah, and think about Pretty Little Pink Splash. This plant maybe has a little less flowering, but not by much. I mean, it's a flower workhorse, and it's that one novelty plant that brings the consumer to the retail bench. Once you have them at that bench, then they really start shopping the geraniums. So
Absolutely.
a great tool.
Yeah, we'll attract them from across the garden center. So here's some pictures that we've got from our different trialing locations. So at Lucas in August, and then also at Costa Farms. Amazing flower power, bright color, habit. I mean, it's all there.
And when you think about those temperatures, that humidity, that intense light, and the interspecific performance of these geraniums, you just know that these plants are going to work for the consumer.
Yeah, yeah. And then some other pictures we've got from Welby's in Colorado, and then also at CSU in Colorado.
Yeah, the Gerace family there at Welby Gardens, thank you so much for your tremendous work with the trial, the containers, the ratings, and also for Dr. Klett at Colorado State with his team. They just do a very nice job. Beautiful presentation. The team that goes out to Colorado is always energized when they come back from the site.
Yeah, and great performance in containers here, and then also in the landscape.
Okay, moving on. So a little bit more vigor than the Moxie. This is Calliope medium. These are essentially our #1 geranium on the commercial side. Calliope medium dark red with that nice burnt crimson flowers. But when you look at this new profile, this is a dark leaf version of a Calliope medium. It has a little less vigor than the regular Calliope medium dark red, but that dark foliage is just a nice asset. A lot of times for gardeners that perhaps don't fertilize as regularly, or perhaps with a grower that's doing some more tray tight programs where they need a little bit more efficient space. So same flower timing as Calliope medium dark red, same number of flowers, just a little downturn in vigor.
Yeah, it's great when you can get a little bit more compact plant, but don't sacrifice that branching and that flower power. Really key.
And here you have it. You say March, but it's March in South Florida. It's already pretty warm. 80-degree weather. The humidity is rolling off the Atlantic. You're sweating, and these plants are just performing, just beautifully toned, great flower umbel, just very nice presentation.
Yeah, and that dark leaf foliage is really great for heat tolerance. It doesn't show all that the bleaching that less heat tolerant geraniums can show. So lots of benefits to that dark foliage.
And hats off to the Costa team. They give us so much information on heat tolerance overall with the geranium class.
Yeah, really key trial site.
Yeah, and then from containers, not only in the US, but we're North America, right? And we're engaged with our Canada partners, whether it's the University of Guelph or Landscape Ontario or the Sawaya trials there. Mel Sawaya, thank you so much for your just tremendous trial site and all the information that comes out of there in the Ontario area. These raised pedestals just show you the performance of the plants and the containers. And it's not just that, right? It's that garden performance, garden soil. Cornell University. Kendra Hutchins, thank you for working with our tech lead, Mike Fisher, on the information. We certainly thank Bill Miller for all of his work there at Cornell. You guys are just really great working with and giving us the time to learn the genetics and how they perform there in Ithaca. And of course, Lucas. When you go to the Lucas Greenhouse's open house in July, you turn the corner and you see that block of geraniums and it's awe-inspiring. You see the zonals, the interspecifics, the ivies. It's just beautifully done. So thank you, Jay Szymanski, for all of your hard work and the team that you run there, just delivering great trial work.
Yeah. And then with that, we'll move on to our Mojo interspecific geranium. So Syngenta Flowers, we're still staying strong. We'll never let up on our geranium introductions. We got Mojo with 2 new intros, dark pink and hot cherry. Mojo is the dark foliage, medium vigor, upright habit, for those applications. You can be used in a range of container sizes. those bold colors that we have. You know, here's a look at Mojo Dark Pink from Colorado State and Costa Farms.
Yeah, very nice touch, a little bit of a novelty look with the umbel.
Yeah, and the zonation on the leaf, and I mean, look at the foliage in there, just the branching and the health. I mean, it's fantastic variety. Some more dark pinks. We got Lucas here, and here in this photo from Lucas, you can really see that more upright habit that it has as it sits in that patio pot, and then just the coverage of colors, nice big flowers.
Yeah, so one big note you need to make is that Calliope large and medium is going to have that mounded look, whereas the Mojo is going to be a little more upright. So think about your deck planters, think about your more high density production. Think about garden performance, think about garden plantings and having those upright plants in a mass border. Right. Lots of applications for Mojo.
Absolutely. And then we got Hot Cherry, just gorgeous, vibrant red color, you know, and we're seeing here from Landscape Ontario and University of Minnesota, and at Costa, it being used in the ground. So, you know, we've got the container performance and the landscape performance. You know, at Syngenta, we really focus in on that garden performance. It's really important for us that the home gardener actually be successful with our varieties. So it's nice to see that reflected in our trial locations.
And the data that came out of the University of Minnesota was very high on the geraniums, the interspecifics, ratings of 4 and sometimes above out of 5 for these plantings in the ground.
And then we'll finish it off here with this last slide on Mojo Hot Cherry, really just to show that, you know, we've got 6 different trial locations here, Jamie, and all of them are covered in bright, vibrant color. You know, we sell flowers, so we gotta have that color. And across the country, across North America, Mojo is bringing it to the table.
Thank you so much, Fessler Nursery, for these trials. The information we get out of the Pacific Northwest with this is supportive. Thank you, Deidre McGrath there at Michigan State University, there in Lansing. It's very much appreciated, the data. Mojo Hot Cherry received a 4.2 out of 5 for the season there in the ground.
All right, so then, you know, we breed all these great genetics with all this flower power. Your growers, you knock it out of the park, you know, with your fertility and light and temperature, you know, really getting the culture dialed in to optimize the genetics. And then it gets put on a truck in the dark for, you know, who knows how long, and then in a retail shop, which, you know, it's not always treated the best. And then that flower power diminishes. But at Syngenta, we've been working with Chrysol, with the Chrysol Alesco product, and doing lots of trialing with this anti-ethylene product that helps to defend your plants against ethylene. And ethylene is the senescence hormone. So, you know, using this Chrysol Alesco product a couple days before you ship your ethylene sensitive species, so especially geraniums, both seed and veg, lobelia, petunias, will help prevent that petal shatter, that early senescence, the bud abortion that can come along with that, and is really just a very inexpensive insurance policy for making sure that the color you put on the plants before they got on the truck stays on it.
And I mean, you gotta love Grow and Sell, producing these plants for Cultivate for us. I worked with them to get these plants to Columbus, and I was so excited. I know I called you on maternity leave, Allison. And by the way, beautiful baby boy.
Thank you. Thank you.
I called you, I said, Allison, I'm looking at these plants 4 days on the trade show floor. I have not seen one floret, one petal shatter. I'm beating the flowers up. There is nothing coming off of these plants. I tell you what, every grower should use this tool for post-harvest longevity.
Yeah, it works. It really does. So, you know, definitely check it out. You know, maybe get some trials in. It's really something to look at and use.
Okay, very excited about this. The Calliope large white. Now we have the big aggressive vigor needed for those big containers and impressing the consumer. So this is large white. It also has a semi-trailing habit. So this is where it's going to give you that look in the container or the hanging basket. So a wonderful combo with the Calliope Large Dark Red, just really strong horsepower, like a Calliope Large Salmon or a Large Red. So think about that kind of vigor. We really wanted to make sure we delivered a large red to you. So thank you so much, Mitch Haynes, for giving us this beautiful Calliope.
Yeah, so versatile, so versatile. And now we see it here at Costa Farms in the landscape. I mean, flower coverage, bright white, branching. I mean, it checks all the boxes.
Yeah, it just adds to the mix of whites. So think about your whites in the Syngenta portfolio. Mojo white, great one. Calliope medium white. Moxie white, and my favorite is Caliente white, just a brilliant white, and matches this type of umbel power. So we're really excited now to deliver that large white to the industry.
Yeah, I mean, like finally a white, right? I mean, we wait till we get the best one, y'all.
That's right.
All right, so then here's large white again. We've got at Fessler, up in Oregon, and at Welby Gardens in Colorado. So still just echoing that branching, the flower power, and the habit with the mounding trailing.
Extremely nice.
All right, so here's some novelty geraniums that Syngenta Flowers is now offering. So our novelty zonal geranium collection, we've got 2 in there. And these are just really eye-catching, like standout varieties with unique foliages and flowers. They're a nice, like small to, like a medium-sized habit for small to medium-sized pots, for something different, and great in combinations. Going to be really awesome, and they're great on their own. So here's some pictures from Costa Farms in Florida. Just the color coverage. I mean, I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but I mean, our breeding in geraniums is top notch. I mean, this is what we look for. But with the starry pure white, it has a unique flower shape where at the top it has like the forked petals. Really cool. That's where it gets the starry name in it. And the foliage is also a little more serrated than our other geraniums. So excellent white novelty. And then we've got some more pictures here from Fessler and then also from Lucas. Again, just, driving home that flower power. And then in the Lucas photo on the right, you can see like the upright, little more compact habit it has in those 14-inch patio containers. So, really great for playing with other species in combos.
And Allison, I know you really like data. And let me just tell you something. Michigan State, 4.4 out of 5. Penn State, 4.5 out of 5. Minnesota, 4 out of 5 in the pure white, the starry pure white performance.
Excellent. I can see it. And then we've got our Exotica Coral Sunrise. This is definitely one of my favorites. It did well at in my yard as well. So, it's got that great chartreuse colored foliage. So, we've been talking a lot about like dark leaf and whatnot, but now we've got chartreuse with that like coral zonation in it, and then the coral flower. So it's a nice like color echo there within the same plant. So very dynamic, really eye-catching, and is really gonna be good at retail.
Yeah, Vaughn Fletcher really was singing praises of its performance throughout the U.S. and the sites that he visited. 4.4 out of 5 at Michigan State, 4.8 out of 5, and close to 4 there in the University of Minnesota. And so remember, these 2 zonals, these novelty zonals, are new breeding. This is not heirloom genetics coming back. This is all new excited breeding, bringing you those different forms.
Yeah. So then just finishing off here with some more photos that just show that really unique flower, with a little bit of white in it, and the great foliage, the performance. I mean, it's just top notch.
Wow.
Itsy. All right, Jamie.
Blown away.
Yeah.
Versatile. Well, for one, we've got to go back and think about Itsy magenta. Top 10 performer in the Minnesota gardens this past season, used by a lot of the grower trials as a carpet of color. As you walk into their trial gardens, I'm thinking about Plant Peddler, I'm thinking about the University of Minnesota, I'm thinking back to last year with Mass John Plants putting it on the pergola. But now with this Itsy white, I mean, I saw this about a year ago in trials, and the density, the automatic pilot as a grower, not a lot of touches on it. I mean, I was so impressed with its density. I actually put a brick, I put a red brick on top of the plant.
Didn't even phase it.
Nope. Could be a great bonsai commercial, right? But, it's just a really wonderful plant because it's not only a great petunia for the container, the garden, but it's an alternative to bacopa with those bacopa-like flowers, mounded, rounded shape, density for the landscape border. And those trial plants there in Canada or Michigan or South Florida just really shows you how versatile it is across the different latitudes of North America.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat the flower coverage. I mean, it is dense and full of color. And a great match, like Jamie said, to our Itsy magenta. So we've got from University of Guelph here, it in a hanging basket mixed together. There's some hints for some quick combos coming from us using these two. And then at University of Minnesota there, there's Itsy magenta and Itsy white in the landscape, just carpets of color, very well matched. This is a great series. I'm really excited about the potential for this series in the future too.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike Gooder, Rachel Gooder, Stacy, for all your work there in Cresco, showing the genetics, our genetics in the garden.
All right, now we've got Deco. So our beloved Deco series, you remember it's great in the landscape, the smaller flowers, but it stands up to the weather. It'll take the rain, it won't turn to snot, as we say in the industry.
That's right.
And we have an addition to Deco, Sorbet, which is a killer color. Absolutely love it. In the pictures, you'll see the different tones that it can take, that nice center, the throat on it that has some yellow and some orange in it. Very cool. Yeah, and we've got a flower size comparison there, Jamie.
Right. We noticed it had a little bit bigger flower than some of the other Decos. Here, for example, is a comparison against one of our recent introductions, Banana, Deco Banana. So a little larger flower size, very presentable in the container, hanging basket, or in the garden beds. Biggest thing about Deco is that landscape blanket, ability to withstand heavy rains and the rebound. If you need a landscape petunia, Deco is the one. And I think you want to tip us off to something about Deco.
A little fun fact. Yeah, a little fun fact, insider tip on Deco. So Deco is spelled with 2 Ks because it plays well in our quick combos. It is an excellent component for quick combos. So some Syngenta secrets there. That's not a secret. All right, and then we've got some pictures here to show the performance and flower power and the tonal coloration that it gets, from Plant Peddler in Iowa to Miami, Florida at Costa, and then also in Gilroy, California, there in the beds. Lucas.
Solid data performance across different latitudes. Cornell in the north, 4.7 out of 5. Penn State, 4.8 out of 5. And Michigan State, Spartian, 5 out of 5 the entire season for Deco Sorbet.
Can't beat that. Awesome. It deserves it. It's there. Then we've got some more pictures. See, there's that Michigan State performance, coverage of color. And we see, these the coloration differences, have some correlation to some night temperatures, fertility as it gets cooler, and you keep up with the nitrogen levels that it needs. You get more of that the really pink color rather than the melony orange color. So that's where, you know, we see some changes throughout the season as the temperatures change and in the environment.
And I love that. I'm going to give a little plug for my farm. I grew most of the Y1 varieties, and Deco Sorbet was top notch, just beautiful, nice center throat. And also, when you walk into the Rakers trials, those hanging basket displays they have there with the combinations, Deco Sorbet just screamed. Here's two others, you know, Sanguna, petunia. These are more vigorous petunias that can be used in combination. And we're really excited about these because it's all about the tropical fruit.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm really excited about these two color additions to Sanguna. You know, we've got the clear solid colors and we've got some veins, but it's nice to have these more like tonal additions to Sanguna with the mango punch that goes from like an orangey peachy color to a really vibrant like magenta pink, and then also Sanguna banana candy, which is a vibrant yellow with a little bit of a pink throat in it that gets expressed under different environmental conditions.
Yeah, ranked 4.5 out of 5 at a lot of the university sites. For example, Penn State 4.3 to 4.7 on some of these new Sangunas. Brilliance. One of the things that I saw at the Mass Young Trial Plants Garden was Brian Weezy's took all of the different yellow petunias, put them in a block, trimmed them back, grew them throughout in a nice trial. And our petunias really hung in there. They lasted throughout the trial garden. There was no splitting. There was no paling. They really performed, whether it was the Sanguna yellow, the Deco banana, or this new banana candy.
That's awesome. Yellow's a very hot color in petunias these days, and we got one. And then mango punch, yeah, great coloration there too.
Yeah, wonderful for that summer garden. So thinking tropical fruit, great in combinations or standalone in a mass border, whether it's in the container with those big flowers, that nice controlled habit, very outstanding throughout the latitudes, longitudes of the US and Canada.
Yeah, yeah. And then finishing off with some final photos at Plant Peddler and CSU and Raker Roberta's.
I just see this becoming a strong component in combinations with other types of species. So definitely take a look at these two new Sanguna intros.
All right, and then another petunia. This is fun. We've got our new Funhouse series, and Potpourri is the first in the series. We will have more added to that. But Potpourri is, you know, Funhouse is going to be this collection of petunias with unique flower colors and patterns, and just, you know, a collection for the really novelty poinsettia petunia varieties. It's a great habit for hanging baskets and patio containers and combinations. And, you know, this is going to be one of those ones that also really grabs attention at retail.
Yeah, great novelty plant. Think about those cool nights that start kicking in August in Michigan. You get that definition of the two tones, and then there it will be showing you that very attractive color pattern. And, you know, if you're thinking Colorado, right, it's high light and cool nights. And so it's the perfect place to grow the Funhouse petunia.
It sure is. And we've got some additional photos here from Gilroy showing that beautiful bicolor pattern, and from Colorado State, you know, also, you know, with the highlight and cool nights, and just the performance is really great.
And, you know, environment has a play, but Allison, your team has done some pretty intensive work on this. Let's learn a little bit about what they did.
Yeah, so let's talk trials. So the technical trialing team in Gilroy, Cecilia and Megan, they did a trial with our Funhouse Potpourri petunia and looked at how different PGRs and also temperatures affected the the color and the pattern of potpourri. So what they found was that when you use B9's active ingredient, to finish the petunias, you get all yellow flowers. So all of them go completely yellow. There's still, a little tinge of the pink in the throat, but the whole plant goes yellow. They also had a treatment where they did just bonsai to control growth during finish, and that led to the bicolor pattern.
Okay.
They also did a B9 early on and then finish with bonsai, and that was good for controlling growth. But the plants had enough time to grow out of the B9 yellowing effect and get the bicolor back.
Okay, so what you're saying is a propagator could potentially use dimenazide, B9 or dazide, and then use bonsai drenches as a finished chemical.
Right, exactly, because it will metabolize it and get it out of its system and go back to the bicolor pattern.
Good to know.
One of the other interactions that we found at the Gilroy trial was with temperatures. So those cooler night temperatures also had a stronger expression of the bicolor pattern. And with a higher night temperature, we got more rose-colored flowers.
Okay.
Yeah, and we also saw the effect of a higher DLI also really saturating the color, which you see with a lot of petunias that are vibrant in color. But those were the interactions that they saw. So nice trialing in Gilroy there.
Well, good. Then rest assured, folks, we will know the very specific details of how to grow this stuff before it's coming to you. Yeah, Bombay Platinum Scaevola. We have a outstanding dark blue Bombay. We also have a compact blue, a white, a pink. We actually I would say we have the best yellow Scaevola out there on the market. And now we're bringing you platinum. And so platinum, even in the warmest months of the summer, has that nice steel blue pigmentation. Very attractive, controlled habit. Personally, I love pollinators. Bumblebees just come to this plant. All kinds of species of bumblebees going in, testing the nectar. And you can see it here in South Florida, just performing. And again, not gangly, not splitting, really durable and tolerant of the stresses of the lower latitudes.
Yeah, absolutely. The flower coverage is insane. And here, we have it in containers as well. So we saw it in ground and now in containers. The great trailing habit, great for quick combos, and just playing with other more vigorous species in combinations.
So hats off, Wendy Bergman, for all of your hard work. Great breeding. Thank you so much for this Bombay series.
Yeah, stellar, excellent breeder. All right, and then we've got our bowler. Okay, so now we're moving on to our seed favorites.
Yes, so think about it. Sunfinity, Imara XDR, Top Hat, Cora XDR.
Yes.
These are our powerhouses, our power brands.
Right.
And now we're bringing this bowler. Tell me about it, Allison.
Yeah, no, bowler is fantastic. So it's different from top hat. We didn't call it a top hat because there are some differences, but there are some similarities too. So it's still vigorous and highly branched and has that great mounding habit for like ice cream on top or a bowler hat, that shape. But it's a little less vigorous. So a little less height to it. The flower size just a smidge bit smaller, and it's got that bronze foliage. So, similar, but different enough that in order to not confuse things, we made it a different series.
Okay, so think about it. Charlie Chaplin, right?
Bowler hat.
Bowler hat.
Yeah.
And remember that movie, Young Frankenstein? Or is it Frankenstein?
Whatever you say, Jamie.
I like Frankenstein.
Okay.
The monster wore the big top hat, so that's that profile.
Sure. Yes, that is an excellent metaphor.
All right.
All right, so here's some pictures from our trial sites. So we got Penn State. In that picture, you can really see that mounding habit on top of the containers. It's like ice cream on there. And then at Michigan State, you get the nice chocolatey foliage and the color coverage, all the white flowers. And then at Cornell, same thing, you know, great performance there with the flowers and the foliage in the ground.
Michigan State, 5.0 out of 5.0. Penn State, 4.0 out of 5.0, and close to 4 at Cornell in the ground. Thank you.
And then here we have a comparison to the previous slide. So the previous slide was just like full sun trial sites. And then here at CSU, we've got it in some shade. So you can see some differences here in, you know, sun versus shade performance. In the shade, we got a little more green foliage, bigger leaves, less flowering, but still like really excellent performance for this class of interspecific begonias.
I'm so excited about it, you know, that interspecific nature of it, growing it much like a top hat, whether in germination or production, little less vigor. So we're thinking 306 packs, right?
That is my absolute favorite application for bowler. Gorgeous. Anyone seeing that at the garden centers? 6 trays of them.
Yep.
And then we've got, you know, some finishing off bowler here at Young's and Costa. You know, you can see in the ground there in those, the Costa pictures, well, all of them, that nice poof of a plant, you know, which really sets our seed interspecific begonias apart from the competition. We're a very controlled habit. We don't get the arms and dangling things on them. They're very controlled. It's almost like a bada bing on steroids.
So what you're saying is you can grow these in a greenhouse and they actually flower when you want them to, and the flowers are on top for the consumer?
They actually have color, yes.
Oh, that's great. That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, so marigolds, wow, exciting. You know, Flora Nova has brought so much to the Syngenta portfolio.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have the Zenith, the triploid, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now we have this other one called Endurance. And this has been trialed for quite some time. Endurance marigolds are an interspecific marigold. And they have the chassis of a French marigold, but they have the flower style of the African marigold. And that gives it its ability to put this into larger containers like gallons.
Yeah.
It's great for the programmers who see this because it's day neutral. So you don't have to worry about short days and long days. So you can program it really nicely. It's got really sound germination, and then its production performance is what really stands out. But then when you
there's more.
Oh yeah, when you put this in the garden, it really shines. And we wanted to show you primarily the photos from the south, really putting it to the test. So there, right outside of Auburn at Young's Plant Farm, with the Metrolina Gardens, we know in Huntersville, in the heat of the summer, it's sweltering, right? We both went to NC State.
Yeah.
We know how warm that state is.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, Endurance really performing well.
Just the flower size, the flower power, the branching habit. I mean, it's the best of both of all worlds in the marigold class without the like hassle of the day length. So it's just fantastic. We got the orange, sunset gold, and yellow. So excellent, you know, colors for a marigold program.
And that bicolor is just striking. And here, I believe this is Harvey Lang's photograph showing you the beauty of that bicolor look in the sunset gold.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we got a couple more pictures here of the yellow and just carpets of color and the orange. And then finishing off with Endurance, we've got the sunset gold. These pictures from Gilroy after our cast show in June. They just continued to fill and flower and just, you know, it's almost like the petunia of marigolds. You know, it's just.
Yes, and from the data, so the universities, Michigan State 4.7 to 5 out of 5, Cornell 4.2 to 4.4 out of 5, Penn State 4.7 to 4.8 out of 5.
All right, and then we'll finish it off with our last most exciting seed variety, Sparkler 2.0, cleome. You know, cleome doesn't get talked about a lot, but Sparkler And now Sparkler 2.0 have been, you know, tremendous series for Syngenta Flowers and for the industry. I mean, Todd Perkins truly kicked it up a notch with the breeding on Sparkler 2.0. It truly is an improvement. The uniformity and the 2.0 is a little bit more compact, like in a good way for than the previous Sparkler. We have a new color, so we have a violet that's been added to them, and no priming is required on the seed. So that improves your seed quality and the uniformity of your young plant stands for all of our propagators out there. So huge improvements from, you know, dropping the seed to finishing in the customer's garden.
And when you think about the momentum we're having now in our industry, driving consumers to get more plants in the summer for summer performance, season extending crops like cleome and endurance marigold and bowler, that just gives you examples of where Syngenta is listening to you. We're listening, we're breeding, we're focusing on things to really drive sales all the way through summer and deliver strong garden performance. And I mean, Sparkler, just a perfect name for this series.
Yeah, it really does look like a little firework. Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, that garden performance is so key for getting home gardeners to actually come back and buy plants year after year, you know, and that's really the goal. We don't want those one-time sales. We want them to keep coming back, keep having fun, having success with it, you know, keep them growing plants.
Yeah, and just note that fertility is critical with Sparkler. It is a moderate to heavy feeder, so these ground beds are being fertilized properly. The Young's team, I mean, always does a beautiful job with the trials there in June. But I'll tell you, when I visited the Rakers trial I believe it was week 29, I was so blown away. I was probably 200 feet away, and I knew it was going to be the shining star.
Yeah, it was a award winner, right?
It won an award. Yeah, and so Susie Raker and your team, thank you so much for presenting the Sparkler 2.0. It was just wonderful to have this featured in the trial beds.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. You know, and a nice, you know, plant habit, you know, taller than some of, you know, the other species that we breed and grow. So nice for, you know, back of the border plantings, to be a nice backdrop for everything in front of it. So, you know, really filling out the Syngenta garden. All right, and then that wraps up our new varieties discussion, our trial varieties discussion. And just a reminder, you know, if you missed anything or you want to see something else or you want to see more, we have all of this and more on our digital, take a digital tour on our website. So you can look at all the different locations and all the different series and, you know, use the data.
Right. If you're a production manager and you're trying to educate the grower team, if you're a sales rep using these tools to demonstrate the performance of the plants in your specific region, what a wonderful tool. Thumbnail pictures of all the high performing varieties by region. You could probably spend a day just clicking through all the sites and gaining information about the performance of the genetics.
Yeah. Block an hour or two off on your calendar and check it out.
We salute you, Marcom team of Syngenta. You are an amazing group. You are so incredible. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, and with that, we would love to take your questions. And while you are formulating those and putting them into the Q&A, we want to thank all of our trialing partners. You know, without your dedication to the industry and our consumers and to us as breeders, we wouldn't have, you know, we wouldn't have this to talk about, you know, so thank you for all of your efforts and managing really high quality trial sites and working with us.
Yeah, for someone who just had a group come through their trial gardens, I know what you go through to make things look fabulous, and the amount of time, not just for one day, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months, and the incredible dedication that you give and the data that you generate is greatly appreciated. So thank you so much.
All right, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. Someone asked about how much dig hitting does the Itsy petunia require? I guess it's both Itsy white and Itsy magenta. Can you please answer that question?
Be happy to. So the question again is how much deadheading is required on Itsy magenta and Itsy white?
Correct.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
This thing stayed controlled. I might have had to do a slight little trim on one branch on one hanging basket, but the canopy is so dense and intertwines into a nice strong canopy, whether it's in a container or the ground, that it's so formidable. And that's for magenta and Itsy, Itsy white. And I'm thinking back to Brian Weezy's, he made these patriotic combos of Itsy white replacing Bacopa. And I saw it 7 weeks apart and it was still solid, balanced. It is going to be that summer Bacopa alternative.
I mean, getting those in the KKs, we got Itsy Bitsy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Itsy Bitsy mix is coming with blueberry shortcake.
Yeah.
Probably, I still love my blue lightning quick combo, but Itsy Bitsy mix is going to be the bomb.
Be up there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got another question. Someone asked if there will be more colors coming in for the Spectra interspecific New Guineas. Do you know anything about that?
Well, I know that we are evaluating and really looking through the pipeline to be able to add even more colors to Spectra. Nothing in the immediate future, but it is definitely on the slate for our breeder Jamin and our product manager Matt Blanchard to help fill out that series even more.
Yeah, and we know there's a lot of New Guineas out there. We know there's a lot of interspecific New Guineas. We know that trialing and adoption takes time. And so we kept it simple by offering these 5 solid colors, big flowers, the data to support it, the trial information, and those niches, the 10-inch hanging basket, the 6-inch pot, maybe an 18 tray, if you wanted to do this for perhaps a landscaper program.
Right.
This is where trialing and evaluating for yourself is great, and also using the marketing tools on the Syngenta website to kind of guide you and show you the performance of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another shout out for other stuff on our Syngenta Flowers website. We have tons of culture and tech sheets, white papers. I mean, archived webinars of all the stuff that we've done is a tremendous technical resource.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Craig Yoshida. He asks, are you going to go over any cut flower trials today, or did you have attend any of them during the summer?
So, well, cut flowers was, I mean, we had a lot to talk about in here. So cut flowers didn't make the cut for this presentation, but we did have some cut flower trials for our new initiative. Syngenta Flowers is getting back into cut flowers and, promoting our long-standing varieties that have been tried and true in the industry for a long time and working on some new introductions. We don't have anything planned for talking about the cut flower trials that happened this year, but as we build out that program and include more trialing locations, that would be something that would be fantastic to add to our repertoire of webinars.
Awesome. We do not have any outstanding questions. I think everyone is very psyched. Oh, Tim Hodson wants to give a shout out saying that great info. Thanks, everyone. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jamie and Allison, for your time. I think that wraps it up. Thank you so much. And I'll let you guys close this webinar.
All right. Thank you all again for your time. Listening to Jamie and I ramble about something that we love, and we hope that you love these genetics as well, because a lot of teamwork went into creating them. So thank you.
Yeah, and right along with these websites showing you the summer trials, don't forget we have an amazing poinsettia website with all of the different trial sites posted photos. So we want to wish all of the growers in North America best of luck finishing out your poinsettias, giving your trial feedback on the new varieties. And we know for the most part, we've heard it's been a pretty good mum season.
Yeah.
So let's just keep this momentum going, and we wish you all the best next spring. And Syngenta Flowers, our sales team, our technical team, and our management and product management team are all backing you. And we wish you all the best for a successful 2021-2022 season.
Thank you.